So in this moment episode, the last episode I did, I forgot to mention which album is the longest of theirs. That would be their last album, Black Widow, clocking at just over a full hour. Whilst we're on the subject of album times, you won't hear me talking about it that much or at all for this episode, nor that I don't want to. But it's just that the Wikipedia page for Men with a Mission isn't the most forgiving. Sure, it lists their albums, the band members, and the record labels, but I can't really click on the albums to find out what labels they were on at the time. Well, there is one constant at least, but we'll get to that in a moment. Man with a Mission have barely been around for 7 years now, but there's something about them that compelled me to try them out for an episode. In fact, I'd only ever heard 2 songs of theirs before considering them. I often regret choices like that, and so we head back on over to Japan for another episode of Backtracking, and this time it's Man with a Mission. Let's start off with the Man with a Mission's debut, which is self-titled. Shocker. Released in 2011, I had to really think on this one for the record label. See, the band is primarily signed with From Youth to Death, and they still are to this day, and at the time of this release, they were signed with another label in Crown Stones. I don't really know who took part in backing the band's debut album, nor do I know the producer's name, so let's move on. In fact, let's stall for a bit longer. I feel like the band's producer could be their DJ named DJ Santa Monica. Yeah, I know. I'm going to assume that it's him, but feel free to tell me if I'm wrong. I don't really know a lot about the band. Besides that, if it was just a band effort as well, that's all good gravy and cool beans. All the band members have cool stage names, but before I get to them, DJ Santa Monica always said, I'm going to bring up something I forgot to mention in the intro. They all wear really cool wolf masks and they're differently designed so you can distinguish the members, and I kind of want one, I won't lie. The band members are as follows. Tokyo Tanaka's bassist, lead vocalist, I messed that up. Kamikaze Boy's bassist. Gene Ken Johnny as the guitarist and co-lead vocalist, DJ Santa Monica as the DJ, as I said earlier, and Spear Rib as the drummer. I think it's supposed to be pronounced Spear, but it's spelled Spear. So, yeah, those are some really cool stage names, to be honest. And the band's style is a really mixed bag of genres. They're vastly different to Maximum the Hormone, who you should also check out, and also that's another episode you should check out. I enjoy doing that one. Man with a Mission blend dance punk, pop punk, melodic hardcore, new metal, rapcore, punk rock, some alternative metal, rap rock, and finally some J-rock to round it out. Then what would happen if Hollywood and Dead and Zebrahead had a baby that was born in Japan, basically? Speaking of Zebrahead, that's probably how Man with a Mission are the most well known. They collaborated for the song Out of Control, which was used in the soundtrack for the Japanese release of the film Mad Max Fury Road. Since Zebrahead are known for the love of Japan, it's no surprise that these two bands would wind up crossing paths together, really. Granted, that was until about 2015, but still. Anyway, let's get to the album. It's just really nice and happy sounding from time to time, and once it does mix in some angsty and more emotional, sweeter sounding stuff, it's the energetic, just really happy sound that got me hooked to the album. That could be attributed to the members' performances. Tanaka is a really good vocalist, and his English and Japanese both sound great when he sings. He's got a surprisingly low register for a dance punky band, but I like how he sings, and he's not too generic with that register, which is a good thing. Johnny is a good guitarist, lending some good riffs, lead guitar, and some really good solos as well. His rapping is pretty good, going well with Tanaka's cleaner singing. Yeah. Bass work of Boy is pretty good, and he has some really good riffs to things. Santa Monica is a good DJ, brings some great spins and scratches, and also some production to the band's sound and breakdowns. If it is him that does it, once again, I don't know. And Spear Rib's drumming is pretty good, with some nice and heavy cymbal work. Yes, I'm going to keep calling him Spear Rib, get used to it. Standard songs include the introductory Dance Everybody, Never Fucking Mind the Rules, Rain of Joy, Nothing's Going to Change My Way, and probably my favourite, Hasta La Vista, Baby. Man with the Mission's eponymous first outing is a great start, blending a mix of styles, genres, and emotions that I can really get into, and I can recommend the album. It's pretty good. We then move things along with their second album, Mash Up the World. Released in 2012, it's a testament to the band that they could release something not long after their debut, and that's not to mention the other releases between that time, by which I mean EPs. Quick disclaimer, this part is not scripted. I had to look up a site called Mojim, which is basically, it lists all of the band's albums. Including studio albums, they have a total of 17 releases. And I ain't doing all those, I'm just sticking to studio albums, which I only have 4 of, thankfully. Anyway, yeah. Mash Up the World wasn't even released a year and a half after their debut, like most other albums I've mentioned in past episodes. In fact, this was released in July of 2012, while their opponent's debut came out in June 2011. That's just a cool little fact I wanted to share with you. I enjoy it. There's been no major changes behind the scenes, with the lineup being the same as well as everything else was at the time. I'll get more into that when I cover their third album, though. There are more songs on this album, with 12 in total compared to 10 on their debut, and there's a lot of fun to be had with this one as well. I seem to be liking that about them. They're a band that just enjoys what they're doing. I like bands that sound like that. Luckily, because they enjoy what they're doing, I enjoy what they're doing, so it all works out. Their mixing of styles stays the same, but there's more of a punk rock feeling to this one. There's more faster-paced songs with some more of that brash energy to them. Granted, it's well-produced brashness, but it's brashness nonetheless. Due to there being more songs, I can only assume that there's more time for the band to shine, which I'm all for. There is a similar amount of guitar solos when compared to their debut, and everything else just sounds vaguely familiar, but it'd be harsh to call this one a full retread of their debut. It does add some new stuff, and it offers a lot of balance for its length of songs, both in terms of tone and the languages in which they're sung. Johnny, for example, does more rapping here and there. I can't help but notice that he takes more control over the faster, more energetic stuff, whereas Tokyo gets the slightly slower stuff, if you could call it that. It does offer an all too similar air to what their first album provided, but it makes up for it by adding more experimentation. It would be nice to have both vocalists collaborate more frequently rather than what they do have, but the formula is being shaken up even just a little bit, then still being shaken up, which is okay by me. The vocals of Tokyo and Johnny are pretty good, with lyrics mostly being about not wanting to be held down by people, the world around us, and so on. Kind of similar themes to what they explored in the first album. For me. Johnny's few solos are pretty good as well, as are his riffs and so on. Santa's DJ work gets more time to shine here, and I can appreciate that. I think he probably gets more time to shine here than anywhere else. Boy and Rip provide a good rhythm section with their bass and drum work respectively, playing off well with everyone else. Standout songs include Get Off My Way, Bubble of Life, a surprisingly decent cover of Lithium by Nirvana. It's not bad, to be honest. Distance, and my favourite in the well-balanced and surprisingly sweet-sounding Just Like Magic. It's a really nice song. Match of the World doesn't change things up much, but it's a good step forward for the band, and I can recommend it a bit. I can recommend it. We roll things along with their third album, the oddly titled Tales of Purefly. I have no idea who this Purefly person is, but he or she sounds nice enough. Anyway, the album was released in 2014, and it features the only label change for the band. They stick with From Youth to Death, obviously, but they trade in Crown Stones for the much better-known Sony Music Records, and there's personally nothing wrong with that, I reckon. I think that From Youth to Death is a label that they use in Japan, whereas Sony Music and formerly Crown Stones was for their more international releases. A lot of foreign bands have done it, and I'm pretty sure that I've gone over one or two or several of bands that have done that. So there you go. The album continues to set things forward in terms of the band's sound. It continues to just be fun and just sounds great all in all. In terms of balance, there are some faster-paced songs, but most of the songs are pretty long and just feel really epic to listen to. I'd say that this could be Man with a Mission's longest album due to that. In terms of tracks, it has only one more than Mash Up the World did, totaling 13. But it makes up for its time with great performances and just this really, really nice energy. There are more dance influences, and the guitar work is just personally fucking amazing to me. I love tap notes, and there is a lot that's used really well in some of the album's songs. I just like how it sounds. There's more out there guitar work, playing with more djent influences and being noisy and unpredictable while staying in the structure of the songs when it comes to solos especially. I like that a lot, as people know. Another thing that I like is that there's more singing in English this time around. There's even some songs where the band sing both the native tongue and the second language, and it keeps you on your toes, but in a good way. And I'm not just saying, they do it they switch between, from verse to chorus and so on. No, they actually switch in the verses as well. It just sounds good. The scale of the album itself just feels a lot bigger and a lot better, and as always, the band sound like they're enjoying themselves and having fun. There seems to be some screaming vocals on occasion from J.K. Johnny, adding more to his repertoire. He and Tokyo even share more vocals regardless of the style of songs. Sure, Tokyo does still take over the slow stuff, but it's nice to hear his more rangy register go along with Johnny's faster rapping. There's even the use of gang vocals on occasion, further proving the band's experimentation with their sound and how well they can pull that off. It's very hardcore punky with the gang vocals. I like a good gang vocals. Yeah. Tokyo's singing seems to have more range and he holds more notes here and there. Johnny's rapping in terms of speed's picked up, which I quite like, and he can scream pretty well too, along with his guitar work improving dramatically. DJ SM adds more dance-like elements whilst piling on more of his signature style behind the DJ booth. Boy's bass keeps things moving along really well with some really nice bass work. And Rib's drumming adds some really good snares here and there and some awesome fills which I quite enjoyed. Standout songs include Evil's Fall, Emotions, Higher, The Great Closer in Dancing on the Moon, and possibly my favourite in When My Devil Rises. No, that's not a euphemism. Tales of Pure Flight, despite its odd title, is a damn good album, and I can recommend this one. It's accessible, it's unpredictable, it's experimental, and like all their stuff, it's just a lot of fun to listen to. We close things out with their last album, well, the most recently released, The World's on Fire. I suddenly have the urge to channel my inner Bo Burnham and mash the keys off the piano while screaming like crazy. Anyway, released in 2016, no lineup changes, the number of tracks is 13 again, no label differences, all is good in the metaphorical and possibly literal hood. Anyway, you remember how for the first album I mentioned that their most well-known song was a result of them collaborating with Zebrahead? That song is on this album as it turns out, yay! It's also named Wham's first time with a guest artist. Oh, it's not their first time with a guest artist. I misspelled not to now, my bad. That honor goes to the song Database from Tales of Pure Flame. That song featured a dude named Takuma from a band named 10 Feet. Yeah, there's a hyphen between the number and the word feet. It's weird. Then again, it's Japan, so what else can you do? Once again, there are changes with sound, this time adding some more symphonic sounding stuff to this album, like some really nice string arrangements that I quite enjoy. They dabbled with that on Tales of Pure Flight, like they messed around with it a bit, but they messed around with it more on The World's on Fire. There's less of a rapping influence, and I can swear to Jesus Sweet Christ that Johnny starts singing clean. He's not too bad. Speaking of clean singing, Tokyo to knock out some more range here and there. If it ain't Johnny singing, then I can only assume that it's Tokyo singing, only this time with his voice being a bit higher than his normal low register. But it works, and it really adds some good layers to his voice, I think. One thing I kept forgetting to bring up, though, was the production. It was pretty good on the first three albums, but it is really good on The World's on Fire. The effects from the production booth just sound amazing, adding great little pinches to the guitar and vocal work especially. I think the production does come at the slight cost of fewer fast-paced songs, but even then it's not all that bad, and the tunes they provide on The World's on Fire still feel huge, much like they did in Tales of Pure Flight. But I won't judge, and the band continues to improve in terms of their experimentation. I just have huge respect for that. Even with fewer punk rock and angsty songs, there is still a lot of fun to be had here, with nice bouncy tracks that remain extremely catchy, and the balance between singing in English and Japanese returns as well, which is a bonus. Tokyo and Johnny craft some good lyrics and songs, with Johnny having some really good solos, the effects of his pedal helping with his guitar work, as well as his production too. As for the messages, it's the same fare with the band, standing up for yourself, wanting to get away from bad places and situations, all the usual suspects. Boy's bass gets time to shine again, playing some really good riffs. Santa's work is heard a bit more here, which I quite enjoy. And Rip's drumming remains to be very good, providing some really good work on the kit, especially with his cymbals. Good cymbals. Standout songs include the title track, Far, Radio Flag, Seven Deadly Sins, and my favourite in, of course, Out of Control, featuring Zebrahead. The World's on Fire shows the band playing around with more stuff while still remaining where they're comfortable. It's still as fun as anything else that they've put out, and I can say it's worth a listen, so it does get a recommendation from me. So, there you have it. That was my backtracking episode for Man with a Mission. I think my favourite album was possibly Tales of Pure Fly. Weird title aside, it did show a lot of balance. It was easy for me to get into and experimented with a lot without being too confusing or going overboard with it. And I really enjoyed it. Least favourite might be Mash Up the World. To be honest, I did like it, but it felt too much like their first album and didn't add a whole lot to the sound that was new. Like I said in my review of it, it wasn't a full retread, but it felt too similar. You know? It was similar enough to fall in line of feeling like an add-on and not like a sequel, you know. If I can use a colloquial video game term with you. Anyway, that's the episode pretty much over. Join me next time as I cover the ska punk rock band thing, Streetlight Manifesto. I'll see you all then. Take care, bye bye, and thank you for listening. You're all awesome.